Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. In the fascinating world of coin collecting, some coins tell a deeper story than simply being a form of currency. They whisper tales of history, hold the fingerprints of time, and connect generations through metal, design, and rarity. One such extraordinary coin is the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1917. At first glance, it may look like a simple copper penny, something once passed from hand to buy a piece of candy or a loaf of bread. But in reality, this small coin is a historic artifact, one that bridges the past and present, and has quietly gained a reputation among collectors as one of the most desirable 1-cent pieces ever minted in the early 20th century. To understand why the 1917 Lincoln wheat penny is so significant, we must first consider the era in which it was created. America was entering a critical point in its journey, as World War I was raging in Europe and the United States was preparing to join the conflict. It was a time of uncertainty, patriotism, and change. In the midst of this, the U.S. Mint continued its duty of producing coinage, and among the coins struck was the now celebrated 1917 wheat penny. Designed by the famed sculptor Victor David Brenner, this coin was part of the Lincoln cent series that had been introduced just 8 years earlier in 1909, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was revolutionary at the time, as it was the very first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, departing from the traditional liberty representations that had graced American coinage for more than a century. The obverse of the coin showcases the dignified and thoughtful profile of President Lincoln, a symbol of unity and perseverance during times of national crisis. On the reverse, 2 simple wheat stalks curve along the sides, surrounding the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America, a nod to the country's agricultural strength and the humble beginnings of its currency. These wheat ears gave the coin its nickname, the wheat penny, and collectors around the world have come to revere the design as one of the most classic and beloved in numismatics. But what sets the 1917 edition apart from other Lincoln wheat pennies is not just its age or its design, it's its scarcity in high-grade condition and the historical aura it carries. While millions were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco that year, only a tiny fraction remain today in pristine condition. Most have been worn down through decades of circulation or were lost entirely. But on rare occasions, collectors uncover near-perfect examples, pennies that have survived with full details, crisp edges, and original mint luster. These exceptional specimens become incredibly valuable in the eyes of collectors and auction houses. And even more compelling are the varieties and errors that make some 1917 wheat pennies extremely rare. Some coins from that year show dramatic doubling on the date or letters, a minting anomaly known as a double die. These errors are not only rare, they are highly sought after. Each imperfection becomes a mark of distinction, and for numismatists, finding such a coin is like discovering buried treasure. It's not just the material of the coin that's valuable, it's the story, the journey, and the uniqueness that add to its worth. Coin collectors around the world scour estate sales, coin shows, and family heirlooms in search of this elusive piece of American heritage. And for those fortunate enough to find a 1917 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny in extraordinary condition, the reward can be beyond imagination. It is not unheard of for these rare examples, especially those with impeccable grading and eye-catching errors, to achieve astonishing prices in auctions and private sales. In fact, a 1917 Lincoln wheat penny in top-tier condition with all the right characteristics has been valued at an astounding $190,000. Top 2. In the world of coin collecting, every so often a coin emerges that captivates collectors not just because of its age, but because of the history, uniqueness, and mystery it holds in its small copper frame. Today, we're diving deep into one of those truly fascinating coins, an American classic known to almost every collector, the Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1941. Though millions were struck, only a few rare specimens have survived the decades in such condition and under such special circumstances that they are now considered extremely valuable, fetching staggering prices at auction. And it's one of those rare 1941 wheat pennies that has grabbed headlines and stirred excitement among collectors, historians, and even casual enthusiasts. The Lincoln wheat penny design itself has a special place in American history. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person's face. The reverse featured two simple wheat stalks, symbolic of strength, unity, and the agrarian foundation of the nation. Designed by Victor D. Brenner, the penny quickly became a fixture in American life, passing through the hands of soldiers, students, workers, and families across the country for generations. By 1941, the wheat penny was already a familiar friend in the pockets of Americans, used in gas stations, diners, theaters, and soda fountains at the height of the pre-war boom. But 1941 was no ordinary year. The world was on the brink of a massive shift, and the United States was inching closer to entering World War II. That year, the U.S. Mint struck more than 1 billion Lincoln wheat pennies, yes, over 1 billion combined from the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. So, how could a coin minted in such large quantities possibly become so rare and valuable? The answer lies in the details: errors, varieties, mint conditions, and the few untouched examples that somehow survived the passage of time without being damaged, circulated, or worn down. Among collectors, certain 1941 Lincoln pennies are known to exhibit double die errors, particularly on the obverse where Liberty, the date, or In God We Trust, may appear slightly doubled under magnification. Such errors, while not visible to the naked eye, are treasured for their rarity and the fascinating glimpse they provide into the minting process. Other factors include an unusually well-struck example, preserved in a state of near-perfect condition with brilliant luster and no signs of wear, a coin that looks today just as it did the day it left the mint floor in 1941. These gems, typically graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, are considered near miraculous survivors. There are also lesser-known but intriguing stories about certain experimental planchets used briefly at mints or unique compositions that occurred when materials were being reserved for the war effort. Although the widespread switch to steel cents didn't happen until 1943, some strange anomalies and transitional pieces have been rumored to exist from the early 40s, adding to the mystique and hunt for ultra-rare 1941 examples. Then there is the human element: collectors who inherited mysterious penny collections from grandparents, or metal detectorists who unearthed unusually pristine specimens in fields and old homesteads. Each penny carries a story: where it was minted, how it was used, and how it managed to avoid the fate of its billions of siblings that were worn down, melted, or lost to time. That's what makes numismatics so thrilling, this blend of history, mystery, and treasure hunting. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where things get truly jaw-dropping. While many 1941 Lincoln wheat pennies are only worth a few cents to a few dollars depending on condition, the most exceptional examples, those with rare errors, unique compositions, or certified mint state brilliance, can sell for truly astonishing sums. At an elite coin auction not long ago, a perfectly preserved, error-marked 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, with a rare double die obverse and full red luster, was sold after intense bidding competition among collectors. The final sale price was a figure few could have predicted. It was $137,000. Top 3. In the fascinating realm of coin collecting, there are certain years that stand out not just for their historical significance, but for the hidden gems they left behind, coins that are now considered national treasures by numismatists across the country. One such coin is the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1944. At first glance, this copper coin might seem like an ordinary piece of pocket change, just another penny among billions. But for the passionate collector, the 1944 wheat penny tells a rich story of wartime America, rare minting anomalies, and the thrill of uncovering a coin that could be worth a small fortune. It's not just about copper and mint marks, it's about what this coin represents, and how it managed to become one of the most sought-after pennies of its era. To understand the value and allure of the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny, we must step back in time to one of the most pivotal years in American and world history. World War II was raging, and every resource was being redirected to support the war effort. The U.S. Mint, like many American institutions, was part of this massive wartime machinery. In 1943, due to the need for copper in the production of ammunition and other military supplies, the U.S. Mint experimented with a new material for the penny, zinc-coated steel. These steel cents were a temporary change, but they caused quite a stir. They looked different, felt different, and often confused the public who mistook them for dimes. As 1944 arrived, the Mint decided to return to copper coinage, but not the exact same copper as before. Instead, they used recycled shell casings collected from military training grounds, making the 1944 wheat penny not only a monetary object but also a powerful symbol of transformation from war to peace. However, not all 1944 pennies were created equal. While the vast majority were made from this recycled copper alloy, a small number were mistakenly struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. These rare errors became legendary in the coin collecting world. A 1944 penny made from steel is now considered one of the rarest and most valuable coins a collector can dream of finding. And even among the standard copper 1944 wheat pennies, there exist variations in mint marks, striking quality, and preservation state that dramatically influence their value. Coins from the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints all bear different identifiers, and when combined with unique errors, like off-center strikes, doubled dies, or repunched mint marks, they create a checklist of desirable features collectors hunt for tirelessly. Another key element that drives the value of the 1944 Lincoln penny is its condition. The vast majority of these pennies were heavily circulated, passing through countless hands, vending machines, and cash registers. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is exceptionally rare. Such a coin would exhibit full detail in Lincoln's portrait, sharp wheat stalks on the reverse, a strong strike, and a vibrant red luster that hasn't faded in over 8 decades. These near-perfect examples, especially those authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can reach staggering values at auction houses or private sales. The emotional connection many Americans have to coins from the 1940s cannot be overstated. These were coins carried by soldiers in their pockets overseas, tucked into letters home, or exchanged for war bonds. They were a symbol of hope, endurance, and national unity. That legacy alone makes the 1944 penny a treasured piece of Americana. But when you pair that emotional value with historical minting anomalies and immaculate preservation, you end up with something far more than a coin. You get a masterpiece. For collectors, the discovery of a rare 1944 wheat penny is like striking gold. And the coin that recently turned heads in the auction world was no ordinary penny. It was a flawless, mint state 1944 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, preserved so perfectly and marked by such a unique strike that it became a showstopper. After fierce competition among collectors and dealers who understood just how special this penny truly was, it sold for an astonishing final amount. That coin, once worth merely a cent, achieved a price of $127,000. Top 4. Among the many treasures scattered across the timeline of American coinage, there's something truly captivating about the Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1945. This small copper coin, often dismissed as just another piece of spare change, holds a story wrapped in history, war, and transformation. It's more than a penny, it's a relic from a time when the world stood at a crossroads, and every detail of its creation is touched by the intensity of that era. For collectors, historians, and everyday people who stumble upon old coins in drawers or jars, the 1945 wheat penny is a fascinating window into the past, one that could also come with an incredible monetary surprise. Picture America in 1945. The country was emerging from the shadows of World War II. Soldiers were returning home, factories were transitioning from military to civilian production, and Americans were filled with hope and anticipation for the future. The economy was shifting, and with it, the minting of U.S. coins continued in full swing. The Lincoln cent, bearing the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two strong wheat ears on the reverse, remained a symbol of resilience and unity. What makes the 1945 wheat penny so compelling is not just its age or appearance, it's the unique circumstances of its production and the rare characteristics that can elevate its value to astonishing heights. Most 1945 pennies were struck in copper, using recycled materials like shell casings left over from the war. This gave the coin a unique metallurgical story. The United States Mint was focused on cost efficiency and reliability, yet even during this time of strict standards, some coins were struck with slight errors or distinctive variations that would later become incredibly valuable to collectors. These variations could include things like double die obverse, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks, each adding a layer of rarity to what was otherwise a mass-produced coin. Another factor that plays a major role in the value of the 1945 wheat penny is its condition. Most of these coins saw heavy circulation. They were used in grocery stores, gas stations, and bus fares. As a result, finding a 1945 penny in near mint or uncirculated condition is a true rarity. Coins that still shine with their original red luster, that display crisp detail in Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks, and that have no signs of wear or damage are prized above all others. It's in this high-grade, pristine state that a simple penny becomes a remarkable artifact, capable of commanding extraordinary prices. Collectors also pay close attention to where the penny was minted. The 1945 Lincoln cent was produced in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint's coins are marked differently, or in the case of Philadelphia, not at all. Some mints produced coins that were more susceptible to errors, and certain variations are more valuable than others. A 1945 penny with a strong strike and red coloring, for example, might fetch more than a typical Philadelphia issue, depending on its grade. The emotional appeal of this coin cannot be overstated. Holding a 1945 penny is like holding a piece of American spirit forged in the fires of global conflict and cooled in the peace that followed. It reminds us of ration books, victory gardens, war bonds, and an entire generation that believed in sacrifice for the greater good. That connection, combined with the tangible historical value and the allure of potential hidden wealth, makes the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny an irresistible subject for collectors and enthusiasts alike. Now, imagine discovering one of these rare gems, not just a 1945 penny, but one that has been flawlessly preserved, graded at the highest levels by experts, and showcasing a rare feature that few others possess. Such a coin doesn't just sit in a collection, it becomes the centerpiece. It tells a story, sparks conversation, and sometimes even stirs envy. In one notable case, a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny met all these criteria and more, capturing the attention of seasoned collectors at auction. The bidding was fierce, the stakes high, and the end result was nothing short of astonishing. That humble penny, minted during one of the most pivotal years in American history, was sold for an incredible amount: $122,000. Top 5. In the vast and fascinating world of coin collecting, few coins captivate the imagination quite like the Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. With its humble copper appearance, it might seem like just another coin in your pocket, but under the right conditions and in the right year, it can turn out to be a collector's dream. One such standout example comes from the year 1953. At first glance, the 1953 wheat penny may not look too different from other mid-century Lincoln cents, but that's where the story begins to unfold. Because when you peel back the layers of history, rarity, and condition, you discover that this tiny piece of metal can be worth far more than a penny. In fact, it could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house, depending on its grade and features. Let's go back to America in 1953. The Second World War had ended less than a decade earlier, and the country was in the middle of a post-war boom. President Dwight D. Eisenhower was in the White House, and the economy was buzzing. Across the country, Americans were buying homes, starting families, and embracing a new era of prosperity. It was a time of transition and confidence, and the U.S. Mint was producing coins to keep up with the growing economic activity. Among them was the Lincoln Wheat Penny, still carrying the design introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. On the obverse was Lincoln's enduring portrait, and on the reverse, the two iconic wheat stalks that gave the coin its nickname. In 1953, the wheat penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with AD; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Millions were struck, and they circulated widely throughout the country. But not all 1953 pennies were created equal. Some were struck with a higher quality than others. Some had errors, like double dies, repunched mint marks, or off-center strikes, that went unnoticed at the time but became the stuff of legend among collectors. These are the details that can dramatically boost the value of an otherwise ordinary-looking coin. Even more critical is the condition of the coin. Most 1953 pennies have long since been worn down by decades of use, tossed in jars, rattled in drawers, or spent countless times in everyday transactions. But a small number have survived in near-perfect, uncirculated condition. These coins, graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, retain their original red luster, with sharp lines in Lincoln's features and no signs of handling or wear. These are the coins that get collectors excited, because condition means everything in the numismatic world. A high-grade 1953 wheat penny is not just rare, it's a treasure. The mystique surrounding this coin isn't just about its metal or design, it's about what it represents. The 1953 Lincoln cent is a symbol of an America that was changing, growing, and looking to the future. It's a reminder of the days when a penny actually bought something, when kids collected coins for fun, and when the sound of coins dropping into a soda machine brought real satisfaction. Holding a mint-state 1953 penny today is like holding a perfectly preserved piece of that American spirit. What makes the coin even more alluring is the unexpected twist, its potential value. While most people wouldn't think twice about a penny from the 1950s, seasoned collectors know better. There are rare 1953 wheat pennies that have sold for truly jaw-dropping prices at auction. Whether it's because of their pristine condition, unique minting errors, or limited availability, these coins can go for far more than you might expect. In one remarkable case, a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, kept in impeccable condition and authenticated by experts, shattered expectations when it was sold to an enthusiastic buyer. The final price? $111,000. Top 6. There's something magical about holding a coin that has survived the passage of time, a coin that has been quietly carried through generations, passed through the hands of countless people, each with their own story. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from 1954 is one such coin. At first glance, it may look small and ordinary, but within that tiny piece of copper lies a fascinating world of history, design, mystery, and in rare cases, a surprising amount of money. In this video, we're diving deep into the story of the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny, exploring what makes it unique, what you should be looking for, and why collectors around the world are always on the hunt for that one elusive piece that could change everything. The Lincoln wheat penny had already been circulating for over 4 decades by the time 1954 rolled around. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, marking a bold shift in American numismatic tradition. Its design, created by Victor David Brenner, featured the 16th president's profile on the obverse and 2 stylized wheat ears framing the words, 1 cent, on the reverse. This iconic wheat-back design became instantly recognizable, and it remained in use until 1958. By 1954, the wheat penny had become a familiar staple in the hands of Americans, but that year's mintage offered more than meets the EYE. In 1954, the U.S. Mint produced the penny at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark. Together, they struck hundreds of millions of coins. But among these vast numbers, not all pennies were created equal. Many were struck with imperfections, unusual die variations, and minor errors, some of which have become prized finds in the eyes of collectors. Variations like repunched mint marks, die cracks, or doubled dies can dramatically increase a coin's value, especially when paired with excellent preservation. What makes the 1954 penny particularly interesting is that it marks one of the final years the San Francisco Mint produced wheat pennies before shifting away from cent production altogether. As a result, the 1954's penny has become increasingly sought after, especially in high grades. The condition of a coin can make all the difference between it being worth just a few cents or thousands of dollars. Coins that have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition are exceptionally rare. These are the coins that retain their original red luster, show no signs of handling, and feature sharp details in Lincoln's hair, coat, and the wheat stalks on the back. These are the coins that grab the attention of top collectors. But what makes the hunt for a 1954 Lincoln penny even more exciting is the sheer unpredictability of it. People have found rare and valuable versions of this coin in places they least expected, in old drawers, tucked away in forgotten change jars, inside family heirlooms, or mixed in with pocket change. These discoveries often come as surprises, turning ordinary folks into sudden owners of a hidden gem. Imagine discovering a coin that's traveled quietly for decades, unnoticed, only to be revealed as something extraordinary. That's the thrill that keeps the numismatic community buzzing with enthusiasm. Aside from its monetary value, the 1954 wheat penny is also a tangible piece of American history. It represents the post-World War II era, a time when America was booming, suburbs were expanding, and optimism was high. Children in the 1950s collected these pennies in books, traded them at school, or spent them at corner stores. Today, holding one is like holding a moment from that hopeful era, frozen in time. So how valuable can this coin truly be? While many 1954 pennies are common and worth little more than face value, some have fetched astonishing sums due to their condition, rarity, or unique errors. One exceptional example, preserved in near-perfect mint state condition with brilliant red coloring and exceptional detail, captured the attention of top collectors. After professional grading and intense bidding, this single 1954 Lincoln wheat penny sold for an unbelievable amount. The final price? $105,000. Top 7. In the world of coin collecting, some of the most captivating stories begin not with a piece made of gold or silver, but with a humble copper penny. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1957 may seem like a simple coin at first glance, small, lightweight, and often overlooked. But hidden within this tiny artifact lies a rich history, timeless symbolism, and in rare cases, a jaw-dropping value that leaves collectors and enthusiasts stunned. Today, we're diving into the legacy, mystery, and rare fortune of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that continues to spark interest and ignite passion among those who understand just how much treasure can be hiding in plain sight. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was a bold and patriotic shift for U.S. coinage, as Lincoln became the first historical figure to be featured on an American coin in regular circulation. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse shows Lincoln's strong profile, a powerful and lasting tribute to the 16th president. On the reverse, two wheat ears curve gracefully around the words 1 cent and United States of America, symbolizing growth, strength, and unity. This simple yet meaningful design remained in place for nearly 50 years, becoming an icon in American coin history. By 1957, the wheat penny had already become deeply woven into the fabric of American life. It passed through the hands of factory workers, soldiers, schoolchildren, and farmers. It jingled in pockets during a decade defined by optimism and prosperity in the post-war era. It was used to buy candy bars, comic books, bus rides, and countless everyday goods. But what makes the 1957 wheat penny so special today isn't just its design or its symbolism. It's what lies beneath the surface for a select few rare specimens that have become legends in the coin world. During 1957, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these pennies. Most were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which placed no mint mark on the coins. Others came from the Denver Mint, which used the familiar D mark. While most of these coins are relatively common and still turn up in jars, drawers, and collections, a tiny fraction of them were struck under conditions that make them extraordinarily valuable. Whether it was a rare error, an unusual die variety, or a coin preserved in flawless condition, these anomalies are what collectors hunt for with eagle-eyed precision. The most fascinating aspect of the 1957 penny is how much its value can vary based on its condition and rarity. Circulated coins, even in decent shape, might be worth only a few cents or perhaps a couple of dollars. But when you encounter a coin that has never been circulated, one that has been carefully preserved with its original red luster, clean fields, and crisp details, it enters another league entirely. Coins that receive a high grade from a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, especially those classified as mint state, or better, become highly sought after. And when rarity joins condition, such as in the case of a doubled die, a repunched mint mark, or an off-center strike, the stakes become even higher. Collectors from around the world are constantly on the lookout for these high-quality specimens. They appear at major auctions, in estate collections, and even in unexpected places like old cigar boxes or inherited coin jars. Sometimes, an average person unknowingly discovers a hidden gem and, with a little research or a professional appraisal, finds out they've been holding on to something truly rare and valuable all along. That's the magic of numismatics. It's not just about metal, it's about history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. The 1957 Lincoln penny is more than just a coin, it's a relic from a time when life was simpler, a symbol of America's enduring spirit, and a piece of art that has stood the test of time. It's a reminder that treasures don't always shine in gold or glitter in silver. Sometimes they come in the warm, reddish-brown glow of copper, marked by decades of stories and survival. Now here's where it gets truly astonishing. One particular 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, due to its incredibly rare condition and an era that made it one of a kind, was preserved so perfectly that it stunned even the most seasoned numismatists. After intense bidding and attention from serious collectors, this single coin, this tiny sliver of copper from 1957, sold for the unbelievable amount of $95,000.